This is Alex, and you're listening to the Paradise Arcade.
The Paradise Arcade contains graphic language. Listener discretion is advised. You are listening to the Paradise Arcade with Kyle and Eric, promoting synthwave, music, and culture. Welcome to another episode of the Paradise Arcade. This week's guest, a very special guest. Of course, I always say that, is Alex. Thank you very much for joining us.
No worries, likewise.
All right. As always, please follow us. Follow us. The whiskey's already getting to me clearly. Follow us on social media. We are on Instagram and Twitter. You can find the podcast where all fine podcasts are accessed and sold, so you shouldn't have trouble finding us. You can catch rebroadcasts of the episodes on Night Ride FM, so check that out as well. Please support those guys. Okay, let's get into it. Alex, thank you for joining us. We're very excited to have you. I think it seems like some people were pretty excited to have you on as well, and people want to hear from you. And so I want to talk about initially the new record that's coming out, the new music. We've had some time to digest it. What do you have to kind of say about it or describe the new music 2020 AD?
So basically, it's like a collection of works that were made this year. Like a select bunch of tracks that just kept me going. Because I just had no energy to write an album or sit down and do an Akuma 3 or just anything huge. So I just wanted to take a break for a bit, and I still kind of am off and on. So it was just kind of whatever came into being conditions-wise. When the conditions were right, the music just kind of happened. So it was just kind of exploring kind of new, like, sounds and directions and working with some new artists as well.
Yeah, it seems like you are evolving. I think the difference between this record, Blood City, the last, like, there's a clear evolution. Is that something that you're consciously doing to change it up and be different, or is that just a natural part of what you're doing?
I think it's a bit of both. I think I wanted to do something different for a while. And that was always the aim, is to do something different with this record or that record. But also use it as a kind of learning curve or kind of a practice, kind of like a workbench to work on kind of a new sound as well. But yeah, I'm always kind of wanting to do something different because sometimes I feel like I've not found my like true sound or like a sort of staple to kind of keep using or reusing. But at the same time, I feel maybe it's better to just keep being really fluid with the genres and kind of just see where it goes.
Perhaps your true sound is being able to do whatever you want and do a multiple, many different styles.
That's it, yeah.
So would you describe yourself at this point as maybe just a electronic artist and less a specific genre at this point?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, like, it'll always be synthwave. That was the start, but I prefer to kind of be more broad about the sound. Yeah, so electronic musician or artist for sure. Yeah.
It's all good. I admire that because I think there's a certain aspect where it seems like, just from reading your social media stuff, that I don't know if there's like a pressure on you from fans to be a certain way or have a certain sound, and you're still getting out there and you're progressing and you're doing things that are very different, I think, from what maybe people would like first describe you as, like when say, well, listen to Alex, listen to Akuma, or you know what I mean? Like you're continue to take risks and do different things. Has that been a difficult thing for you to, or has there been that feedback or pressure from fans at all to be a synthwave, I guess?
Yeah, there's been like there has been people who have said like, oh, I would prefer if you just did this sound, stuck to that sound, and I completely understand where they're coming from, but for me, I just feel like I'd be betraying myself in a way. I would just be slaving away, and I mean, eh, like, I mean, if they want to go listen to a lot of dark stuff, then I mean, there's so many dark artists out there that like make so much dark synth, and like I don't need to name names, but like everyone knows,
Yeah, everyone knows the
like
people.
there's like a a circle of them that everyone gravitates towards, and I think, I mean, that's cool. Um, but at the same time, I think, yeah, I try not to kind of get annoyed with that or feel bad about it, because at the end of the day, I'm kind of just doing my own thing really, and I think it's healthier to just try something new. And I think I like to kind of approach it like a film director, because you've got like I don't know, so say Akuma came out and it did well, it charted Billboard, and like okay, like let's do another one, and then we kind of had like a sequel, and it was kind of like the budget went up, and all the production value went up, and it had like a new look and stuff, and maybe some people thought it had sequelitis, like and it didn't do very well in their opinion. But I don't know. I think for when I speak to Tokyo, we both seem to really agree that it did pretty well. Um, and then maybe just do something different with the next one if we do another one, and it's like another vibe and it's got a new look, but retaining kind of the similar qualities, for sure. But I think, yeah, it's nice to approach every release with like a new palette, or maybe borrow some things from the last one and evolve them, or just completely throw it out of the window if that feels necessary, and just do something, completely unique in our eyes. Because like, I don't know, I kind of just go with how I feel, or what I'm working with, or what sounds um, I'm experimenting with at the time. Like recently, I've been working with like neuro bass, kind of neurofunk kind of sounds with like one track, and like the learning curve of that translates into like a full blown piece of work, and then it gets put out, and kind of that's the result of that. So I think a lot of it's like yeah, approaching it like each thing's like either a one-off or a series, or yeah, like something along those lines. Although, because there's a lot of artists out there that kind of just have their set template, and they'll just keep using that, and there's nothing wrong with that for sure. Um, Sometimes I kind of envy that, and I think I also get a bit jealous of that, because like they have like a set solid palette of sounds to use, and it's just like, to me, maybe never gets old in a way, because it's so versatile. But I think for me, I'm just still kind of searching, and maybe one day maybe something will click, and I'll have like a template that I'll go back to, or as you say, maybe just continue just being very avant-garde, or just doing whatever I want, because that just feels like the best thing to do right now. So yeah, I guess there's your Stephen King novel of an answer.
No, that's
It's
fantastic.
I totally appreciate that because it really goes in line with that. What I say is the do what you want to do, don't do what you don't want to do thing. And it's like, your standpoint, you want to do whatever you want. There may be pressure from other people to do things. I can relate that to things in my life. Some people may want me to do something some way, but I'm going to continue doing it the way that I want.
I mean,
Keep
it still
doing.
feels nice to honor that, and honor maybe like maybe do something maybe that that people people like, and you do the same thing or something similar. And it is nice, but sometimes it can backfire. Like, people are like, "Oh, do more synthwave," and like I do a synthwave track, and it comes out, and no one really pays attention to it. I've been in that position as well.
Well,
So I think, yeah, I think the healthiest thing is to do is just to just do what you feel is right, and not really try to give a shit what people think. Because if you start pandering, you can kind of maybe water yourself down, or maybe skew your process altogether, and maybe feel even worse about yourself at the end of the day.
going off of people asking for more of one thing. I'm sure when Akuma 2 dropped, there were people there saying, well, okay, when's Akuma 3 coming out?
There's actually a meme that Alex posted, and it's the guy like levitating in the school hallway, and then the one kid running away, and then it's Tokyo Rose and Alex running away from fans asking about Akuma 3.
When's it coming out? No, we just got this one. When's the next one coming out?
Yeah, I think it'll just be like Valve and just never do a third one. Just never count to 3.
So would you? Let me ask you this: do you think the Akuma project maybe is more about just your working relationship, friendship with Tokyo, more than it's necessarily about a particular sound or thing? It's just, it seems like obviously the two of you have a good relationship, and we get albums out of it, in essence.
Yeah, how did that
Yeah.
start?
It started off with like one track. He hit me up because he was like, "Oh, I really like your Blood Club EP." And then we did a track, and then we're like, "Okay, let's do another track and another track." And I just kind of like the snowball kind of just started going from there. And then we made a full album, and people liked it. Yeah, and I think we've got a good chemistry. We're really good friends. We talk to each other all the time, and we're always pitching forth ideas and reviewing each other's work, and like giving each other like motivation to do shit and all that. And I think it's kind of like the Akuma brand as well. It's kind of evolved in a sort of as kind of its own brand, and from that working relationship. And I think it's good for artists to be able to do that. I don't see enough of it, but when it does happen, it's really cool. Like Burial and Fortet, for example. Like when they do stuff, it's like, oh, this is really, really cool. And people lap it up for sure.
I would say
I would encourage people to do that more, actually.
I would say the new
Because
version.
I'm sure
maybe.
Andrew just did something as well.
Yes.
With Destroyer, exactly. So there you go.
Yeah. So both those boys are our friends, and that is a really, like, the thing I thought of was like, here's another great collaboration of friends doing some really awesome stuff, and I'm glad that they're able to release that, because I don't think Andrew's released anything at all, really. I think he might have a few songs on Bandcamp, maybe.
I don't know if anything's been physical media.
Stranger, yeah.
So I was like when I heard the album, and just when I've heard Chris talking about it, who's Destroyer for people that don't know, I'm just really happy that Andrew has an outlet that he's getting his music heard, because it's amazing.
Oh, he's really talented. I wish I could draw like him. It's insane.
I was gonna say he's the complete package. He's a very talented artist in more than one way.
Yeah, being a little jealous, because he can not only visualize his ideas in a really compelling way, he can also make music and explore that, and it's really, so that's really cool. And the fact that it's on new Retrowave, and that's being released as a record and all the media, it's super cool. So it immediately reminded me a little bit of like the Akuma stuff with you in Tokyo. It's kind of like the next evolution collaboration of people, and I think, as you said, I wish more people would do that.
It would be cool to see, like, like imagine if Danger did something. I know he never collaborates much. I don't think he ever does. I think maybe like once in a blue moon. But if he did something with, I don't know, Lauren, for example, like that would be insane. But I think there's this like kind of, I mean, I know as an artist myself, it's like you get quite kind of maybe a bit snobby or a bit like kind of reclusive. And I think that goes for a lot of producers, a lot of artists that kind of just want to be like a singular thing. And I completely get that for sure, because I felt like that as well. But I think it is healthy to try and collaborate once in a while at least. But it would be nice to see more of that. You're right.
I'm always a fan. Like when Aphex Twin collaborates, that always is very interesting. Obviously, he did it a lot more in the 90s. But like Mike and Rich's Expert Knob Twiddlers was really good. I don't know if either you're, I know you're Aphex Twin a little, Kyle.
Oh no, yeah, I love Aphex Twin for sure. Richard is like, he's just a mad scientist.
Yeah, I seriously don't understand how he does what he does. But and I think
I don't think he knows. I think he just does.
what
He
and I,
said like I think he said like what was it? He said something really interesting. It was electronic music should just be listened to and no one should talk about. And I was like, well, yeah, okay, I get that. But I mean, maybe he kind of eats his words. But he's the sort of guy that is very reclusive and maybe is I don't know, like maybe he has a point.
yeah, that's an interesting thing. He definitely came up in a generation where the social media thing didn't exist,
Mm-hmm.
and the strength of his talent allowed him to not really necessarily have to engage with people, and he can kind of do the reclusive, weird artist thing. But like yourself, we're in a different time, and you really have to kind of hustle. It seems like that's just part of the deal now is engaging people on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, being on a podcast, let's say, for instance, and talk about your stuff and put yourself out there as a brand as much as your music.
I mean, there is artists that still kind of do that. They're very, very like quiet, and they'll just rely on their own style. I wish I could do that. I mean, there's some times when I've kind of maybe edged into that kind of realm for sometimes. I maybe like just go quiet and just kind of be silent. But I think you have to get to a certain level before like you can maybe afford to start being a lot more reclusive or rely on just the music. Or I don't know. It's definitely, yeah, you're right. Times are way different to the 90s or, early 2000s or like MySpace and stuff where like you could still find artists and get discovered. Like now it's just like, Twitter is just much more of a news platform than anything. And like Instagram is a lot, I mean, more visual, I guess, but obviously artists thrive on there, but it is very difficult. And especially when you're called Alex for like, what the hell?
Well,
It's like the worst
Yeah.
PR move ever. Because I
How
didn't
do
expect
you?
Alex to even take off or like do any like well at all. I thought like, it was something that was I don't know. I didn't expect it to maybe, have some popularity. Even though it's not a lot, but still.
The
To get on Billboard like a couple times is something for sure. Like I mean I think if your output is good or the work is good, or people enjoy it, then I think maybe something comes from that for sure. And I think maybe names are relevant to a degree, unless you've got a really cool name that's marketable. But Alex is for sure like very niche and very hard, and there's like a billion Alexes already out
yes,
there. There's even
this
like a lo-fi version that's even bigger than me that's like insane. But um, I don't know. I mean, yeah.
I want to say you can gloat being charting artist. That's fine. You can gloat. That's fine. That's something to be proud of. Um,
there's the struggle of anyone trying to find any of your stuff on any kind of streaming platform though too.
yeah.
It's like I want to listen to Alex. Okay, you got to sift through a bunch of stuff. You got to know the album name. You got to know something. That does make it kind of tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It
It's
is
worth
difficult. And I
it's
think like I've set up like a second alias as well, which I won't really like like reveal, but like I mean I see artists as well with really unique names and they're like I look at their Spotify statistics and they're way lower and I'm like, well, like yeah, I'm hard to find, but like, there must be maybe there's a playlist or something, but I don't know. Maybe I guess it was the time on New Retro Wave, or I don't know. I think there was definitely something to starting off on that label or releasing with that label,
yeah, I think
for sure.
for sure, and I think that is it's a weird double-edged sword a little bit. I think where yeah, we have to like social media is part of like the game, but also making all those connections, getting that support from people. Because when you have, one voice or a couple of voices really saying, listen to this music, it's amazing, this support this artist, they can really make a huge difference. And, obviously, like being a new retro wave and like that, it's helped you out as, as much as Kyle wants to complain about their final releases sometime.
I'm not gonna complain about them tonight.
Okay. Good man. Good man. Uh, it's still a really valuable thing, and it seems like the people that support you, at least in this scene, are sincere. Is that? Do you feel that that's true? Like, it's not just lip service. Like, if someone wants to release your stuff or work with you, they actually want to work with you.
I've kind of been in both ends of that spectrum. I've had like really bad experiences with that and really like good ones. Although I would prefer to just do my own thing, like release like everything by myself, not rely on any labels. But yeah, yeah, yeah,
Cool.
it's yeah.
And honestly, I'm just curious about because we've spoke to a lot of people and we know a lot of people in the scene and different just startup folks, and I would say my general opinion is that it's more supportive than say like the metal scene or a different, more well established, older kind of genre where it seems more accessible and people are more supportive. But again, if you have a contrary opinion, then that's just as valid, and I want to hear it.
I don't know. I think like because the synthwave scene as well is very saturated now. Like so, I think it's almost like a conveyor belt. And I know I'm not a very big name, and like there's obviously like a lot bigger artists that kind of get they'll always be referred to or talked about. And I think I'm one of those artists that kind of just kind of is in the kind of in between. I don't know. Maybe they'll mention me, but it's very kind of rare. So I
I
don't know.
would
I don't know. I mean,
I'd 100% disagree with that. I'd say you're one of the
yeah,
bigger
yeah.
people in the
Maybe it's
scene.
just an artist thing, like because I'm like completely like I'll see things way different to someone looking in on the outside
Because
in my direction.
I'll say this: we've had a lot of people on this show, and like having you on this show, I'm completely starstruck, and I'm having a hard time on my end right now because we have you on the show. So I just have to say I disagree with that. I would say you are one of the bigger people in the scene.
Good, awesome. I mean, that's cool. I think I'm just like naturally hard on myself, so like I think it's very like weird to hear people like be so appreciative. I'm like, oh, really? Am I living in some sort of alternate dimension, like parallel universe or something? Because like I'm not used to that.
It's I think it's one of those things that you can never discount the effect that you can have on other people, that no matter how maybe minor or maybe like whatever you feel about something, that it's going to hit people and they're going to get really attached to it and personally invested in it. And I think like with your like as far as like, and I don't know, so I invited Alex to the Night Ride Discord yesterday, and you popped in just for a second and then you left, and the discussions that carried through went on for quite a bit, and just the reverence that people have for your music and what you do, like I felt bad initially. I'm like, oh shit, what did I get this guy into? Because like they're just like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh my god, I'm starstruck. I can't believe that Alex is in this Discord server. I can't, oh my god, you're amazing. Like just the reverence that people had for you. And then people are like, I don't know who Alex is. And then people are like, well, let me tell you right now who Alex is. And then all the links to your various albums and music and things like that. And so it's interesting. You're a very humble man, clearly, but you're kind of a big deal.
You're a big deal. You're a
Weird
very
to hear
big
that.
deal to me.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I don't know. It's just like yeah, I think yeah, I dipped into Discord and I had like a peek as well. And I was like, because like the first I think yeah, it was like what's her name, Hannah or something. She was like,
Yeah.
who's this? And I'm like, hey, hi, it's Alex or whatever. Like yeah, I'm on a podcast. Bye. It's just like,
So,
and then like I popped back in and it was like this huge big like Bible or something. Like everyone was
yeah.
talking. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna dip back out
Yeah, so
because they'd be like, oh, that Alex asshole. You know, because
no,
I've been in I've been in the gun sites as well for sure. I've been a dick for sure, and like not like been a bit naughty on social media and annoyed a certain label. And
we can't
I'm
relate
cool
to
with
that.
that. I'll take full responsibility of being an idiot.
Yeah.
I do like the music that comes out of that label, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
I'm familiar with those feelings.
Oh my god. Yeah, and honestly with Hannah, she just doesn't really listen to darkwave or dark synth or whatever. So she just really wasn't familiar with that end of the thing. And again, you're an electronic music artist, not necessarily a dark synth or a synthwave artist. So she was just uninitiated, and then people just like lambast, just went after her a little bit for like, how have you not heard of Alex? Da 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 da. And so that was kind of funny, just the passion that people have for it in that server. So I felt bad initially because I was like, oh shit, like what did I just like get this guy into like hours of like having to like scoot people away from him and like try to like get out of conversations, but you handled it just fine. So you talked about
Nah.
doing another alias, and we're not asking for a reveal. What's the motivation behind doing a different alias?
So like back to the whole like name thing. It was like, so what could I do that's more search optimization friendly? Um, and see how that goes. And maybe do like an album or an EP. I'd probably say an EP and work really hard on it and see what, just as an experiment, see how that goes.
Sure. I mean, that's fair. That's totally. Uh, it's kind of a weird double-edged sword because, like, I'll say this. So we've had Cody Carpenter on, and he has a few aliases that he releases under, but the thing that he gets the most name recognition, the most interaction with, is his name because he's John Carpenter's son, and that's how he's known. And he does different musical projects under different names, and they get different amounts of traction than using his name, different exposure. So it's kind of a weird. I mean, I do what you do. Do what you want to do. Don't do what you don't want to do.
Well, here's the thing. If you notice that this alias is getting more traction, would you consider changing things up, or was this just an experiment?
I think for now it's an experiment. Like it's really early days. There's even like times when I question it. I'm like, does it even worth it? So I just stick to Alex and just continue with that and just evolve it more, like a more uh visible kind of brand, artist kind of name. I don't know.
Because
It's it's so much. I mean, you could kind of go so many ways with it. Because I mean, I could do more than one extra alias. I could do maybe four, or I don't know if I had the energy for sure, or
It seems like a lot of work.
the oh for sure, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think though as well. Maybe it's just if I want to try something completely different, out of the blue, and maybe not even mention that it is me and just see how that works out. But there's always the temptation of just saying, "Oh, by the way, this is my extra, thing," and then like immediately try and gravitate an audience towards that. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's just because you get, I don't know, maybe especially when it's Alex, it's like it's a lot of work as it is. Um, like because people will release Spotify, it releases under another Alex, and it'll get like it'll appear on mine, and then it's like that, and it happens to loads of artists as well. It doesn't just happen to me for sure, but like there's like more than one Tokyo Rose, believe
That's
it or not,
true.
and they'll just
There
like
is,
add
yeah.
stuff to his Spotify, without him knowing, like because Spotify algorithms or the release process, I think there's something that needs to be fixed, but for whatever reason, like it gets confused and it'll just miss and interpret things, and it'll end up on the wrong profile. And I think that can be kind of, I don't know, like it's almost, you kind of blame yourself for that, and you're like, damn, maybe I should have something that's just completely unique. But then again, it's in 2020 to find out a unique artist name, it is a bit more of a challenge, because you think you have an idea, and then it's like 10 more people already have that name.
Right.
So like, but I mean, then again, name night might not be anything because like everything's alright. Because like there's danger, and danger is there's a few dangers going about as well. Um, Not just Frank's danger. So like, I don't know. I mean, it's subjective, I guess. When you kind of draw your audience, and like there'll be like a silent majority that always kind of follows you around anyway. So like,
My perspective is that you don't have to worry about the Alex name because I think like if my business mind is like, what audience are you going after? Are you going for a wide audience? Are you trying to get as many new listeners, as wide of audience as possible? Then yeah, a unique name might be really important. But you're an electronic musician, and I think what the work that you've done has been substantial on your name and what you do, that you just keep doing what you're doing and you'll just end up owning that name.
I wouldn't want it to be anything else.
Well,
This is what I've come to expect.
Yeah. And I think it's a weird balance of like, are you trying to expand your audience versus, like satisfying the people that you have? And is your music, I don't know. It's, again, I'm not expecting you to answer any of these things. But it's like, as a pop artist, if you did a pop stuff, you would expect that you would have to have like a really like recognizable name and have to reach a wide audience as possible. But if you're like, you just want to make your music, you just want to do your thing and then bring people to it, do you need to have a different name? I don't know. I don't know. I'm a dumb American. I don't know anything. So
I guess it's really subjective. I would like to grow for sure. I do think though maybe it needs some sort of, I don't know, like a visual that's kind of consistent, instead of like some horned demon lady.
yeah.
So like, I mean, it's great tattoos and like, merch and stuff, but I think it's like it's a part of that series, like its own brand. It's like the Akuma thing or the Blood
Yeah.
like club thing, So I can make that excuse. But yeah, I think there needs to be like a visual that maybe has like, you're like, oh, okay, so that's that guy, that's that Alex, that's that one
Right.
for sure. And then like, you can kind of build on that and like have more of an identity, because I think even just, I don't know, I mean, you can pull it off for sure, just be a name and then just release under it, because Burial does that for sure. And there's loads of artists that that I can't think of right now, but they do it. And they have just like a name and they put out like really cool stuff, like it's absolutely fire. But a lot of artists equally have like an image or some sort of thing that's like not a gimmick, but like just an avatar or something that you can identify them by, and you're like, okay, and then like you can translate to live shows, because like
Right.
Danger's got his costume, and
Right.
it's really like simple but iconic, and you're like, that's Danger,
Right. Or Tokio's in his costume.
exactly, and he's got like the X's, and the kind of, I mean, I always said, I always ask him like, are you gonna do a helmet? But I think he prefers the kind of simple mask vibe. But maybe one day I'll convince him to get like a 3D printed helmet with all kinds of stuff going on.
It's really interesting, I think, the things you talk about, because I think they're really relatable to artists that are just starting out. Like, just imagine if you're like, I'm gonna make electronic, or I'm gonna make music now, and I'm gonna try and get into this thing. I think you're still thinking about a lot of the things that people think about at the beginning of their journey of like, how do I access my fans? How do I promote myself? How do I make myself different from other people? How do I distinguish myself from XYZ? And it's interesting because like, from our perspective, you're so well established that like, when someone says Alex, it's like there's only one thing. There's only one thing that brings, unless it's an Alex I personally know, I only think of you. So it's an interesting thing that
I only think of you all the time.
There we go.
So it's just really, it's interesting that what you're talking about and things that you're trying to explore and just kind of going back and forth on. Yeah, an identifiable. I could see how like an identifiable symbol or look can be really important. And I guess like when I see Alex, like the font or your logo for your name, like to me is very like specific, because it doesn't lean like to dark synth, it doesn't lean to synthwave, like it's its own thing.
It does have its own style, yeah.
So like that is unique. So when I see that Alex name like on Discord or whatever it is, like I know exactly who that is.
Like, I think that's gonna be like, like phase one, I guess. I always feel like I'm always kind of beginning though, like, or I'm always kind of in the early stages of everything. Like, But then again, like there is that kind of I don't know. I think I just forget. I guess like the maybe the impact that some of the music's had or had on an audience. So like I don't know. I feel like yeah, I do feel like it's still very early days for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think look and style only go so far. They're certainly super important, but at the end of the day, like when we're all done and gone, the only thing that's really going to be left over is the music. And the music is like you could take that to the car, you could do, chores with it, you could be at work with it. Where like a look or a music video or whatever, it's a very specific kind of way that you have to interact with it. You have to be so focused on it. And I think, the strength of what you do has carried you obviously to this point in your career. So it's interesting. But yeah, I get where wanting to push yourself, wanting to, where else can you take it? Well, what else can you tweak to do the thing? I totally get that. I do that with the show all the time.
Going back to the whole font thing, Alex, the name with the font, you've had a certain level of anonymity for a while. And just earlier tonight, I was on Tidal bringing up your stuff. We wanted to play a little bit of 2020 AD just to refresh ourselves before the show. And I noticed that on Tidal, there was an actual picture of you. And I was just thinking to myself, wow, here it is. Here's a picture of the man himself. And before that, the only other thing I had seen before was in the artwork for Akuma 2. So, like, did you have a, was there anything in your mind like, ooh, I want to remain anonymous, or like maybe now people can see what I look like? Because before I just, associated you with, Alex and the specific font for that. And I was like, this is how I identify with the artist.
yeah, I mean, I think it was just it was more of an issue with the distributors wanted they didn't want the logo. They wanted a picture of me, so it was like more of an identification thing with distributors. And I never really paid attention to Tidal. It was more of an Apple Music thing, and I think for whatever reason, Apple Music and Tidal maybe I guess accept that they only want artist images of the artist, not the name, and not the logos and stuff. That's like kosher for them, forbidden, verboten, for whatever reason. Um, Although I don't really announce it or anything like that. I think maybe like as yourself, you have Tidal and you've seen it, and fair enough. It was a press photo as well that never really got used. But no, the anonymity thing as well, I do take that a lot seriously. I do. I think I don't know. Like I've been on the fence about a lot, and I've not revealed like I don't take loads of photos obviously and stuff like that. And it was just more of like a placeholder thing than anything. But like yeah, the name definitely was like just the idea of at first. I didn't really have any plans for like appearing or anything like that, like in a costume or anything like uh visual like that at all, because I'm not the sort of person that takes selfies or like is in any photos or anything like that. And I don't know, maybe I've got something, but like I maybe it would be healthier to maybe have sort of an image eventually, or but then retain obviously like the name and the font, or maybe upgrade that a little bit. And I don't know, have a kind of a mix of both, I guess. But because there was a bit of pushback, I remember when like people didn't really want a face reveal one day, and I completely get that for sure. Um, yeah,
As a person who does not want pictures of myself put out there, I hate, any picture of me. I don't want pictures taken of me. I totally get that. I understand that. So, like, yeah, I want to remain anonymous as well, but it's too late for that.
Yeah,
It's too late for both of us, it seems.
it's kind of like semi-anonymous, or like it's there, but you have to dig for it, and it's like not really that common. But I mean, yeah, it's on Apple Music and stuff. But like, I kind of do. I don't know. I kind of reveal myself through my artwork sometimes, and it's like I maybe want to maybe do more of that, and maybe through that I'll have something that's a bit cooler, or something to work off of in the future. I don't know. Because there's going to come a time in the future if the world's still here.
Right.
um,
It's a big if.
like there'll be live shows again. I really hope so. And people are going to be like, oh, who's this guy? And then, maybe it'd be cool to have some sort of visual for that. Or be really weird and have like just an avatar and it's just like this giant head on a stage. It's like, I don't know, like Wizard of Oz type stuff. Um, yeah, so I think there's eventuality, an inevitability where there's going to be something like, there's going to be uh, a visual because like people have always wanted like an Akuma tour, and
Right.
like so that will happen at some point, like if things go forward, and then you know Tokyo Rose has got his whole visuals, get up, and I'm gonna look like some random dude, so maybe I have to kind of think about what would be a distinct look, because it may look quite odd when you've got like this whole like stage and like lighting things set up and everything's like really cool and unique, and then you've got Tokyo, and then I'm just like, hey, I'm Alex. I think maybe there has to be some sort of like, I don't know, equilibrium there where there's like a bit more to it than just a dude. Um,
I don't think that
you
you
know.
should feel like there should be something else though either. Be like,
Yeah.
I'm the artist, I'm this. Tokyo Rose may have his thing, but here's
Yeah,
me.
well, I mean, it could be both. It could be like, yeah,
But
uh, it could be a bit of both. It could be whatever I feel, I guess, because like, Deadmau5, right?
Yeah.
He's doing his thing live, and then he just takes off his helmet. He's like, "Hey, I'm Joel." Like he doesn't give a shit, and it's like it could be like that as well. Like it could be something like that where it's just like
I see
a
it's
mixed
sort
mixture of both worlds or whatever.
kind of a yin and yang thing. Be like, here's this person who's got their own thing, but here's this other person who has a total opposite their own thing.
Yeah, because if you look like
Hmm.
Perturbator, he's got a great like visual show, but he's just dressing as himself in like a t-shirt on stage.
I'm just be once upon a time my stepdad used to bother me so much, like when I was doing stuff like playing guitar, trying to do the band stuff for that. He was like, you should have a gimmick, you should wear like clown shoes up there. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I just want to be
Fine
up
for
there being myself doing this. Clown shoes, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, no, I do get that because I think someone said, oh, if you need a gimmick for your music, it's like, does it worth it? I'm like, well, I mean, I get where they're coming from for sure, but like I don't know, it'd just be cool to experiment with like different things. And I mean, it doesn't have to be a set thing as well, It could
Yeah.
like because I think people like if they dig far enough and they see my face and it's like okay, like the face is there, but then there could be something else. It could be like I don't know, something cool with like visuals, like lights or something. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm just like like I
Do
don't
what
know,
you want to
like
do.
yeah, just do something cool or maybe have like a jacket that like's programmed or something to like be like part of the show. I don't know, like you could do something like that. Because I remember speaking to like a friend of mine who's a director, and he's like, "Oh, you need to have something that's like distinct." He's like, "I don't know what it is, but you need something." I'm like, "Well, it could be something to that as well, like a hoodie or something that's like, I don't know, like Tron, like Jeff Bridges' hoodie." Just have like that.
How
I don't
about some
know.
good ass music? How about that?
Well, there you go. Yeah, yeah, there we go. Yeah, we're focusing way too much on visuals. But no, I think though, like I get quite envious of artists that have like the visuals. Like there's like an artist called Cloud. He's like kind of a mix between. He looks kind of a bit like Daft Punk actually, but like and Iron Giant, I guess. But anyway, yeah, like he's. I kind of get a bit like okay, like they have like the whole thing sorted. But yeah, that's not. It doesn't necessarily mean it's like the be or end all for sure. And like I
Yeah.
think obviously focus on the music is a number one priority. Yeah, that always comes first for sure. Because you can have like the best visuals and like look super cool, and then like have like absolute trash music. Uh,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's a lot of that, but because it like there's like artists like that I've been in the same room as and worked with, like way before they were huge, and like I feel like maybe their music is kind of very carbon copy. Um, in my opinion, it is anyway. But their personality is like what sells it, and they're just such a social media like socialite, like star. It's kind of like they're already set. So I think there's that kind of vibe, or not vibe, but like aspect to things that a lot of people maybe don't notice. It's just kind of really automatic. Um, And I think for electronic music, is obviously that's something very difficult to pull off. I mean, there is artists maybe that have that, like Deadmau5 kind of has that kind of personality to him, but he's kind of earned it with the track record of that he's got with all his music. But there is like a lot of pop mainstream musicians that kind of have that personality that's they're more known for, and it's really interesting.
It is.
It's yeah, it's kind of weird, but like I completely understand it with like TikTok and stuff like that. Like I'm not a TikTok person myself, but like these people will utilize that to like the highest order, and it's like the best marketing tool in the world for them. They kind of effectively almost own it because it's like
Definitely.
what it used to be like Musically or Vine. It was like kind of that, and then it
Yes.
became TikTok.
I feel like I
Yeah,
suffer from the fact that I'm way too old to be using something like that.
yeah, it's not. Yeah, I'm not a TikTok person at all. It kind of sucks, but for a marketing tool, I guess for like pop music for sure is great. But like for like when my distributors ask me like you can send your stuff to TikTok, and I'm like, well, like no one's gonna be dancing to like I don't know, like a Blood City like tune on TikTok. Maybe one person, but it's not gonna go viral. Maybe if it does, but I'll be surprised. But it is more tailored for vocal pop, kind of really catchy trash. um,
There you go. You
yeah,
nailed
yeah,
it. Speaking of Blood City, um, there was some very clear different influences on there. Are you a person that just listens to everything? Do you have a pretty wide palette of music that you like?
yeah. I listen to anything really. Um, Although I'll always go like there'll be stuff that I'll religiously listen to. Um, I've been listening to a lot of Tim Impala. I know it's not like anything to do with Blood City, but like that just off the top of my head. But like electronic wise, I listen to like Aphex Twin or something, or maybe a lot of trap music, or Danger. I'll always go back to Danger, or I like a lot of like Res or 1780L or Death Pact. Like those are a lot more influential on Blood City. And then you've got like Vaporwave as well. I think there was like one Vaporwave track that was like an interlude. Um, yeah, I'll listen to kind of anything as long as it catches my ear for sure. Like I don't like to be stuck to one thing. Like lately I've been getting into like a lot of kind of the newer kind of metal that comes out. Like Bring Me the Horizon did like a new EP. It's got Mick Gordon on it. On the credits.
Yeah.
The guy did Doom. So like I've been kind of getting into that vibe as well for sure. And I think I borrow a lot of that stuff from what I listen to, like kind of assimilate it, like The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, and then like kind of become this kind of, I don't know, I kind of morph it into what sounds cool to me
pun
and
pun
kind of put
intended
it out there.
with the thing
Yeah.
and
So
morphing.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. So that there you go. I mean, like I think I always kind of actually think about that. Like Alex is kind of like it's almost a thing where it assimilates different like sounds from different cultures and different genres and kind of makes its own thing. Like, because like there's like a little bit of a Middle Eastern vibe, I think, and a track that I did, I'm sure. It's kind of just very subtle, but there was like, I think it was like whoa, there's an artist called Kashmir and he does like samples. I think I borrowed kind of his Middle Eastern ones and I kind of morphed that into something.
So this is
And I
exactly the.
think, mm,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no. I think like the artists kind of, I don't know, open themselves up to more of like being that thing, the thing, and like like absorbing different kinds of styles and stuff and borrowing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I think there's something really cool they can do with it, and not be too afraid to stick to the same thing over and over again to avoid becoming a bit stale.
It's refreshing to hear an opinion like that, because we've talked to some people before who are like, I won't listen to anyone else's music. I don't want to be influenced by anything. I want to do my own thing. But it's,
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like all the best. Because I mean, if you can do that, like I'll probably steal from you as well.
And see, I like that
Like,
too. It's because like I want to listen to a bunch of stuff. I want to hear more things. I'll take influence from more stuff. Bring it on.
Yeah. Do you like the
I mean-
Prodigy by chance?
sorry.
Do you like the Prodigy by chance?
Yeah, I love the Prodigy.
Okay. I was just we were listening to the new EP that you've got coming out, and I felt some early Prodigy vibes coming from it a little bit.
Yeah, it's got like a 90s kind of acid kind of vibe as well, like with the visuals especially. No, yeah, though, like I was kind of brought up on the Prodigy and a lot of kind of Dutch kind of hard style and like a total melting pot of sounds. Like you know, you maybe like there's a lot of like dark synth producers out there that were brought up in a lot of metal. I wasn't brought up in a lot of metal. I was brought up on like so much disco and like Luther Vandross from like my mum's side of the family.
Yeah,
And my dad's like you know like all that kind of like old school kind of funk. And my dad's side was like much more Dutch hard style, like drum and bass, like techno, punk as well, like a lot of punk and reggae as well. Actually, like we've got like a huge vinyl collection sitting there that's kind of dormant now, but it's so much reggae and so much kind of 80s punk and stuff like that. I didn't actually get into metal until later on. And like my entry was you know, I'm a total normie, but I'll just say Metallica.
It's fair.
And then there's obviously like a lot of loads of metal out there that I've not even tapped into, but I do really like the sound, and I do think there's lots of potential for it to go in like so many different directions. And I'm hearing that a lot as well, like in mainstream, like Bring Me the Horizon, for example, kind of had like a quite acid kind of metal thing going on and some stuff with Mick Gordon as well involved. And then there was like to the other end of the spectrum with Poppy. I don't know if you've heard of Poppy, but like
I
she's
have
kind of
actually,
like
yeah.
yeah, quite controversial kind of figure, I guess, in a way. But
Yeah,
anyway, like
her and
she
Mercure.
has like a kind of metal core thing going on with her new stuff, which is actually really well produced, really cool. Probably people will hate me for that, but like like you know, like but then Grimes as well, like with what We Appreciate Power.
Yes.
I really like that kind of like vibe as well. Like I'd really like to do something like that with like Rachel, because I've not worked with Rachel in a while. So I was like, you know, there was always the ideas of doing something like coming back with like, you know, maybe going quiet and coming back with something like that, like a completely just out of the blue kind of metal kind of vibe, just for like I don't know, an EP or an album even, just to see how people react to it.
I would
Because I've
totally
always
be for
wanted to
that.
work with like
Yes.
you know metal musicians and stuff. And there was like a time where I was scouting for a few, but they're really hard to come by, and they're really like you know like shy, I guess. Like the guy that did some guitar work on Power Gloves album, the new one, Playback. I was trying to get him involved, but I think, I don't know, he's maybe wanting to steer away from like working with, like becoming a session musician, I guess. So fair enough, fair enough. But yeah, no, it would be nice to maybe just do something like really metal and like just out there and like maybe combine it with like the acid kind of vibe as well and drum and bass and like kind of go more prodigy, I guess.
See, I was like, are you talking about the Prodigy? Because that sounds kind of where we're going here with this.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm completely okay with. I love the Prodigy. So, I mean, that's a great, you know, I was thinking about like dark synth influences today, and like instead of like the obvious influences of like John Carpenter, everyone talks about dark synth and like John Carpenter as being the main influence. But I'm also thinking like, well, there's the Prodigy of what they were doing, and then there's like Aphex Twin with Come to Daddy. Like that's like the most dark synth thing you could ever put out there.
Yeah, I owe a lot of my like electronic music interest to Daft Punk though. I think for me
Yeah.
that was like when I first saw the advert for was it Discovery with the
Yes.
anime it was the animated music video with like Interstellar 555 or whatever. Like that was what
Yeah.
really got me into electronic music. That was like the moment where I was like I really want to do music like that or in that realm, because it was like before that, I mean, I like music, but I was like nothing really caught my attention as much as Daft Punk did, and I think that was kind of almost my gateway into music in general, because I understood that it wasn't just like bands and indie bands and like, pop groups and stuff, because that kind of, it felt really alien to me, or like I was kind of outside of that. I was never going to be a part of that for whatever reason. And like when I saw two guys dressed up as robots, or two robots just doing like really cool stuff, I was like, okay, so there is actually like more to music than just that. Um,
Did
so
you come
yeah,
from
I
like a?
mean, sorry.
Oh, I was just
What?
gonna say, did you come from like a music background before
No, not
that?
at all. No, I'm a complete anomaly in the family. Like I come from a family of like customer service and electricians and much more academic stuff. I'm completely like creative, so yeah, complete anomaly. I didn't have any background. Didn't study music at all.
Wow. So you're like, you saw Daft Punk, you self-taught yourself, and you were just like, I'm going for it. Now you're the amazing person that you are right now. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was like it was a slow burn for sure. I didn't like. I mean, it was a lot of trial and error and a lot of failing, a lot of failure, so much failure. Still now as well, but like, yeah, it's yeah. I saw Daft Punk and all these kind of artists in that realm, and I was like, yeah, let's see how that goes.
That's got me amped up because I am, I don't know anything about music. I never had any classical training. I never had formal training or anything like that. I tried to do my thing. It just didn't work out. But to hear, someone similar having the success that they've had, that really pumps me up. So I am very happy that things have worked out for you, and fucking congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been bloody hard for sure. It's definitely like failure is part of the process for sure. And I think without that, maybe I would have been like, I don't know, stuck in square one, I guess. So like, I think I think every artist has to be prepared to fail for sure, but in a good way, not like in a diamond way. Like, because I think maybe people associate that with like, oh, you're shit or something like that. It's like, no, that's not the case at all. Because like, there's so many people that send me their demos and stuff, and they just want me to like, listen to it, and I'm like, and like I was like that. I used to be that person that would send all the demos, and like I had so much stuff that was like utter garbage, but like it was still something that meant a lot to me at the time. And I think like if you just keep going or practicing or and kind of studying, I guess, uh, like what you want to do and musically, then there's not really anything that holds you back. It's just really yourself. But I don't know, it's easier said than done for sure. But I think that, like the more you do, the better you'll get. Obviously, and the experience level will go up. And then maybe when you kind of take a break, the experience level will go down a bit. And like it was, I find coming back to music, like if I take a break, I'm like, oh shit, like how the hell did I do this? And I have to go back and retrace steps sometimes. Because I'm not like a Ableton engineer or anything like that. I'm not like a super. I don't like know the Bible like in and out. You know, I'm not as you say classically trained. I can't just sit down and play like the piano or something like that. It definitely is a lot of experimentation as well. I should really learn an instrument.
I mean, that kind of brought me into one of the other questions I was going to ask is like, what kind of equipment you use for making your music?
Well, I just use Ableton because I was kind of introduced to that, and then I have like a ton of third-party plugins and like VSTs and stuff like that. I did have a microKORG synthesizer that I used not live, but just to kind of play around with and experiment with. Um, and then I didn't have a Korg anymore, so now it's just all programmed. Although I would like to invest in some like actual gear and start playing around with that. It's just I've never had much of a need for it, especially now. But like for live events and stuff, I'd like to get back into gear and use like not DJ decks. I used to DJ a lot of stuff, and I just kind of got really bored. I used to DJ for a while just on the side, but now that's like long gone. But um, I would like to do more stuff that's involved with the music and not kind of be a bit smoke and mirrorsy, like because I think like I've kind of been there and done that, and I think it's just not that fun. Maybe the first couple of times you do it yourself, then yeah, it's fun if you've got like a good crowd and stuff. But like if I was to do like Akuma, like a live tour of Akuma, right, there'd be like so many peripherals involved, and like I'd have to have it so that it's like everything's like set up the way I want it to, and it's not going to be easy. It's going to be like something that's going to have a lot of attention and a lot of involvement from both parties.
More than just pushing a
Um,
space bar.
exactly, because I'd feel so guilty, and I'd feel like I'm not really giving people anything. I'm just turning up and press and play, and like I hate, I'd hate to be that, for sure.
So
And I mean,
would it be something like, because like Carpenter Brute, he takes all of his music that he like programs out, and then he does live full instrumentation of all his music, right? I'm looking at Kyle because he's seen him live.
I'd say, there's a little bit of A and a little bit of B, I think. I mean, there was live guitarist and drummer when I did see them live. He live, them live. I don't know. How would you say, how, in your mind, how would you, if you did like an Akuma tour, what would be your ideal setup? How do you think you would play that out?
well, I'd use Ableton like live for sure. Um, and a lot of like peripherals like the launch pads and there's like a strap locked showed me his when I was at the New York album launch thing a while ago. He had like a really interesting, I don't know if it was a really cool controller, but I was just kitted out with like so much stuff. I'd have one of those, whatever that was. I think I've got like my Amazon like saved like searches. I can't remember what it's called, but that. Um, yeah, I'd like to, you know what, maybe some synths as well, actually, just to kind of like uh utilize in some fashion for sure, like drum machines. Because I wouldn't want to do like, here's just the album. I'd do like the live version of the album, and like I wouldn't just have it track for track. I would do like an Alive 2007 and have like it all mixed together but unique in a way that's because people are paying like whatever much money to go see this thing, and it's like, well, you want to make them have their money's worth for one, and like have something that's that equally fulfilling on the artist like side of things, where they have just this badass like setup and they kind of know it in and out, back to front. um and there's room for error for sure, which is always healthy, but like, yeah, it would be nice to have something that's just, it looks like a NASA spaceship or something like on stage. Like just it's completely like the real deal for sure, and not just pressing spacebar.
It's really crazy because I have this high like opinion of you, so high,
Oh,
and then as our conversation has progressed, this bar has been raised even higher.
Wow. That's not
maybe I'm
what
like
that's
digging
not.
myself a grave here.
It's like I really like the way that you think. You're really great.
Yeah, there's I guess like maybe you could listen to me talk for hours, and like I'm happy to. I mean, there's people that I'll listen to talk to for hours, like Mike Pondsmith. I don't know if you're aware of that guy, but he created the Cyberpunk tabletop game, and the stuff that he talks about, like I'm just like, just please continue,
Is it?
because he's just so interesting. It's like, but like hear myself talk, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's
Especially
funny.
like, I don't know. I'm the sort of person that like hates the cinema voice, so I'm like, oh my god.
Welcome to the
They
club.
like the cinema voice?
I'm just neutral. It is what it is with my own sound of my own voice.
I hate the sound of my voice. And then when people said I sound like TJ Miller, that just made it even worse. Oh, sad times.
Remind me, who is T.J. Miller? Because like I'm such a noob when it comes to like references sometimes.
Did you watch Deadpool?
Yeah.
His Weasel, the bartender.
Oh, right. Okay.
Do you catch the right? Do you hear it now?
But the worst thing is like he got himself into some Me Too trouble, which is I don't like to be associated with that either.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say no. I think it's just like overthinking it.
See,
But
now you're just
yeah,
really being too
it's
nice.
funny.
Now, now you're really my favorite. Thank you.
At least you have a distinct voice. You don't have a generic person
I
voice.
suppose.
Um, yeah, so that's, I mean, all those things are really interesting, and I think people would appreciate just hearing about your, the things that you think about, because I think you're held in a lot higher regard than what you think of yourself, clearly, and the things that you think about, I think, are very relatable to a lot of people, and it's good to know that someone can be at your level and still be just basically trying to toss around what some of the stuff is, and certainly people would love to see an Akuma tour, which I honestly didn't even think that would even be a thing for you at this point, because I think, because just with how distinctly different your releases have been, I didn't know if that would be even something you'd want to revisit at this point. Like, say 2021 comes along and we could do stuff again. Like, I didn't even think that was a possibility that Alex would want to do an Akuma tour.
Yeah, it's been on the cards for a while. It's just like we want to get the way we want to do it and have like, you know, because of like, we're quite kind of, me and Toki we're quite kind of tired of doing, synthwave kind of nights. We feel like maybe we'd be better off maybe supporting an act or something at a bigger venue, which would be really, like, for us, really valuable. I think because with synthwave nights it can be quite,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, it feels more celebrating the genre than the artist sometimes, like, from my experience. And some of it's been really good, but I think as a musician looking at it in a career point of view, I think would like to go kind of beyond that. And I don't want to sound like a dick, but like I
I
think
think it sounds
I,
like a
I
dick
would
at
just,
all.
because I mean I've seen like really big artists, like bigger than me, do like synth wave kind of festival things or synth fests and stuff. Like, awesome, it's cool, and they are really fun. Like, they're good buzzes and stuff. Like, it's for sure. Um, but it would be nice to do something outside of that, to a wider, just like, for the track record, for like the portfolio and stuff. But it's very difficult for sure, very very difficult. But just to get that under a belt, or under my belt anyway,
So
it'd be cool. Like, I applied for. Sorry, what?
I was gonna say, like, is there a band that you would want to tour under that you think would be interesting?
Um, like, me, I would be like anything goes, because like I've performed gigs where like there's been so many different, like, unique kind of, or very artists that are very different from one another. But I do understand, like, touring under like a sort of similar vibe, or a hard kind of, like, I don't. That's the thing though, because I've done so many, like, done so much different styles that, like, it's hard to put a finger on maybe like the sort of set vibe that I've got. But people will probably say I'm much more tailored to darker stuff, and I completely agree. Um, so yeah, I don't know who I'd want to, like. I'm kind of easy Ozzy. I'm not that fussed. It's just, I guess, if it feels right. Um,
Yeah, makes sense.
I don't know who though. I don't know who. It's like I've not really thought about who, but it's just because there's so many people, and availability as well is such a difficult thing as well, because like so many artists, like, are already, like, they've got stuff for next year already booked, and they've got like their whole, like, support already sorted. It would be nice though, just to maybe go to like, South by Southwest
There you go.
or something. I mean, I've applied, but it's very difficult to get in with them, for sure. And I was meant to do E3 as well when E3 was a thing. But again, very, very corporate, very, very commercial. So again, really difficult. You have to know the right people, and plus have to have like a big, big following to even begin to even think about playing these places. Although they did have DJs and stuff, kind of doing like VR kind of parties and stuff.
Yes, it's
It's,
definitely an interesting, kind of like getting out of like this scene where you're very well known, and then breaking into another, because electronic music by itself it's kind of a niche thing, regardless, like, of how well revered it is, and then being kind of where we're at, which is the micro genre, so it's even a smaller slice of that world. going to like a South by Southwest would be very interesting kind of experience. I know you Makeup at Vanity Set seems to make a go of it with what he does touring with bands. And I think Ghost toured with A Perfect Circle, I believe.
I could see like South by Southwest would be a great thing.
Yeah.
It would be the perfect thing. It
Go
being
just
hard to
appear
get
with someone
into.
like that's completely out of the blue, like just like yeah, just but it makes sense or something, or even like doing like an Adult Swim like event or something like that.
Yeah, that I could
Like
definitely see too.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Or a video game, like getting on like another Hotline Miami type of thing.
well, I mean, I was meant to be involved in something like that, but it just like the gaming industry, like most industries, but the gaming industry in particular is like so. It's like it's just so cutthroat. Like me, Tokyo and Paraglove, like there was a company that reached out. They wanted to use the track that we did for a VR title called Pistol Whip, and it's like John Wick but Beat Saber kind of.
Okay.
And it's just like 1 minute they were all down, ready to go, and then the next minute they're like, nope, we're not doing it because of whatever reason. And I was like, okay, like, but that's not the first time this has happened. Like, I got approached by Ubisoft before, and they wanted like one of my really, really old tracks now. It wasn't really like something I was proud of as well, but they were like, yeah, we're looking for this track by this artist, and like because they were speaking to New Retro Wave about me, and they were like, yeah, we want to find. Have you got his email? This was a while ago, and then they just never bothered to get back to me. And like I even went as far to phone up like head office. I was like, dude, are you still interested? Because I was like so badly wanting to be in like Watch Dogs or something like that. Because the track they wanted was mainframe, so like I assume it was like something hackery, you know. But
They
yeah, no,
fucked
like even
up.
Blood City was like there was meant to go cross media and like be like a comic book or a video game. There was loads of ideas for it, because like the people that were involved on Blood City they worked with Devolver Digital, who worked on like Hotline Miami and stuff. So there was the prospect of a game being pitched because there was lore written for it as well. But there was a point in the process where like everything fell apart. So none of that came to be. So that's maybe why the Blood City kind of album in a way is quite obscure and visually, and kind of has this kind of like story that is untold to it.
Yeah, that's interesting. The one anecdote I have for that is talking to Andrew, which is how you challenged him when he was doing the artwork for the cover of it because he can't draw straight lines for shit.
Yeah.
And he was kind of complaining, not complaining, but just talking about how challenging it was to do that cover art for you because of he's not good at doing landscapes. But they were like that album cover.
Oh,
is
he did
amazing.
fine. He's not good at it. Come on.
Yeah.
No, he's really good, but his kryptonite, yeah, is like cars, cities, anime as well.
Yeah.
He can't. He doesn't want to do anime, because we attempted to do an anime like type thing for us for the single GunCon, but it just didn't work out. So we ended up going for a text-based kind of thing. And by the way, he does amazing text typography work as well. Like,
Yes, he does.
like
That's
he's really
actually
good at that.
yeah, what I
Um,
like that he does the most. I've seen some of his shit and I was like, that's fucking amazing. We need something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a little busy right now, but I want
Very
him to do
busy.
new.
I think a lot of artists want to use him as well. Like,
Yeah.
like
He's the new hot thing for like the synthwave scene. Like,
mhm.
it was like if you didn't have someone do artwork by Ariel ZB, like you weren't shit. Now it's like if you don't have artwork by Andrew, you need to work on that.
Yeah, because I want him to do a new logo for us, but it's just like, oh, fuck.
This busy boy, he's too popular. Which is a good thing.
Yeah, now
He's really quick as well. Like he's quite fast. Like he gets stuff done. But at the same time, he also is really, really busy, especially now.
yeah, I mean, it's a terrible problem to have to be so high in demand. I feel sorry for him.
Don't
I
be
mean,
so
he's
cool.
getting work, money, all good.
No, it's
He's
amazing.
sorted.
Yeah, I mean, and he's such a down to earth, interesting person, and
Like, yeah,
he still
his
talks to
style
us.
as
So
well is like really
yeah,
old school. Like I like how he uses pencil, and it's very. I don't know if it's like a lost art. I don't want to say it's a lost art. Maybe I'm really stupid by saying that, but
I
like
don't know. Maybe it is now.
it's quite uncommon. Like I don't see a lot of. I mean, obviously a lot of artists out there have used pencil at some point, but he's like that's his primary thing. It's not digital. Like you'll like you'll like add it to Photoshop and stuff later on if he needs to. But there's just something about the pencil stuff that he does is really like
hmm
interesting. Where it's like a in a way kind of retro with the kind of comic book style he does in a way. Like
hmm
for Akuma 2 he kind of went like kind of comic booky, but like 80s comic booky, like heavy metal kind of comic booky.
yeah.
Yeah, he's cool. Definitely get him on something in the future. But I think at the moment, he's so busy. I want to just like, I'll what, give him a bit of a break because he's just like, I think he's up to his eyeballs and just so much, especially with the new release as well.
But he did do the typography for your new EP, right?
He did the singles, but it was a new artist that did the cover for the EP.
Gotcha.
It's Hunter, brand new person I've worked with. Really, really cool.
So there you go. Awesome. I'm glad that
I'd
we're.
like to work with more artists, like just typography and stuff, and more of that vibe, and just different artists in general, just to keep things like fresh and like maybe not be like stick to somebody all the time. And I don't know, maybe I don't know. I think keeping things with other artists is nice as well, but always go back to ones as well for sure. Like I'll always go back to Andrew for sure. And like Ariel as well if like we're doing like a repress or something. Uh, but yeah, no, like I think I'd like to do my own art in future as well, like learn how to do it, especially like typography and stuff. Um, it would be really interesting and something that would maybe might even help the creative process in a way because I get lots of writer's block for sure, especially nowadays. But like it's like a single takes a lot more time than it used to. I think maybe I don't know if I take a break from maybe the writing aspect and maybe focus on like the theory and stuff. Maybe if I come back to it, I'd maybe be a bit fresher in terms of just the mind and the workflow.
Yeah.
Because lately it's just like I think I'm just so like emotionally weighed down with like everything that's going on, obviously. So like I'm just like, oh, it's just so hard to get shit done, like musically. So maybe taking a bit of time off to learn some new skills and tricks, and then applying that to newer stuff would be maybe a bit more fulfilling.
Yeah. So does music for you come from a place when you are more content or excited than a dark place? Because you'd post some stuff on Twitter yesterday, I believe, when talking about how you know you think being an introvert would be really great in this time, but it really hasn't been good for you, at least for the creative process.
Yeah, I'm not the only one. I mean, Sierra was talking about this
Yeah.
recently, and she has to make it when she's happy, and I completely get that. And I'm kind of a mixed bag. Like like yeah, when I'm happy or feel good, I'll make stuff for sure. Like yeah, but there's the other like Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing where it's like antagonist was like I wrote that in like 4 hours when I was really pissed off. So like and it's like a track that did quite well like on Spotify. So I'm like I think there is something to being in a dark place and writing music, maybe even more so than being happy. But it is I don't know, it can be quite a hit or miss.
So overall, the current state of the world not been helpful for you, but it can
Yeah.
be. You can use anger or whatnot to as a creative fuel as well. It's just when it's prolonged and goes on for an entire year, it kind of hits you.
Well, that was the idea for the next release. Is actually called Anger. It's like I've got the typography for it and stuff the other day, and it looks really really cool. But yeah, it'll be like something that comes from a darker place, much more aggressive, and I won't say it's a dark synth album. It'll be more it'll be dark, but not synthwave in that traditional sense. Like it'll be much more contemporary, I think. Acid metal as well was like an idea, and the kind of that goes with the visuals. So
Yep.
um, there's that, but then there's also other projects I've got like ideas for, which is like the complete other end of the spectrum, which comes from a much more chilled out place. Like I got a single coming out called Toonami, and it's like the sort of Toonami era Cartoon Network kind of vibe. Where
You know,
it's like,
it's funny because Kyle and I were listening to your new stuff, and we had a conversation about sort of what we felt were some of the influences, and that was
What I said was like, I feel like I'm watching like an attraction, like here's what's coming, here's what's new of something that manga might have released in like the early mid 90s. It's like, here it is. So I can see that. And I'm ready for that.
yeah. There's like there's like an anime influence in a lot of newer stuff that I've got. Like Toonami has influences from Cowboy Bebop, or there's samples from Cowboy Bebop. There's samples from Dragon Ball Z. There's samples from what else is there?
Oh, you know what?
Yeah, Evangelion as well. But then it's like the songwriting aspect of it is a lot more like it's like borrowing these elements, but then put them in like a chilled out kind of house track, but like lo-fi kind of 90s house. Or I mean, you kind of uses like 80s instruments though, like uses the Juno, the Roland Juno, if I'm getting that right.
I might be completely out of my mind, but when Cartoon Network had tracks for what was Outlaw Star, whatever music they had going on for that, and I've tried to find it before, was out of this world. It was great. So there's me just putting that out there.
What
I miss that.
What sample did you think he was using that you heard from the video game?
Oh, Time Crisis? Did you have something from Time
For
Crisis?
sure.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like childhood. This is like my nostalgia. Like, yeah, I'm not from the 80s. So like this is actually more stuff that resonates with me, like me growing up, like Time Crisis, like Dragon Ball Z, Cowboy Bebop, like stuff like in that realm, like video games as well, like even that kind of garage sound really kind of resonates as well. And then kind of going back to the drum and bass vibe as well. I'd like to do more of that style because it's really cool. It's like kind of, I don't know, it's got like a kind of magic to it that I can't really find anywhere else when I'm making other kind of types of music. Although I would like to transfer like that sampling into other like genres, like darker kind of stuff.
I do believe that Destroyer and Cobra Wipeout used something from Time Crisis in their track for Narc City.
Yes, they did. So, and I said, I was like, ooh, yes, more. And I keep fucking it up. I want to say Crime Tisis because me and my brother would call it that just to fuck it up. Be like, Time Crisis is good. I've got nothing but good memories of that. So anything that has anything to do with that, please bring it on.
Yeah. I was trying to sample House of the Dead. As
Suffer
well.
like G did. Just
But like the voice acting in that game, or like the original one, is like so awful.
It's so awful. It's fantastic.
Yeah. There's other stuff as well. There was Dino Crisis as well. Like there's some really ambient. Well, because like the GunCon, like the synth you hear, that's just chopped out like it's a save room theme from a Resident Evil that I never played called. Oh, what is it called? It's Dead Aim, I think it's called, and it's the save room theme from that, and I've just chopped it up, rearranged it, turned it into a synth, put it in a MIDI sequencer.
All right, now we're really speaking my language.
So like there's like this untapped, well not untapped because I think people have done it before, but like there's this kind of to me untapped kind of potential in like sampling old kind of like video games that resonated with me and turning it into like a synthesizer or sound or something. Because there's like to me there's something really appealing about it. I think I'm not the only one that thinks that because there's like seems to be like a resurgence in like future bass kind of drum and bass kind of like garage or really like ethereal kind of music that kind of has that borrows kind of some of that vibe. Like even Burial actually sampled Metal Gear Solid 2 for his track Archangel, which I never knew about for ages. Because I was always like, what is that like really addictive like choir? And that's Metal Gear Solid 2, like right at the intro. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. So I
Bring
think, hmm?
bring all of that on, in
Oh
my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah,
I'm
it's so
like,
exciting. Like there's just like it's stuff that I've like, I don't know, it's so motivational to make because when I started playing around with like the time crisis stuff, I was like, oh my god, this is like so cool. This is my childhood. And it's like it felt like the right thing to do instead of like making something for the sake of making it or following a trend or something.
I mean,
Um,
going off of that, like I'm on vacation right now. I'm on my second day of 9 days off in a row, and one of the things I wanted to do was, as you mentioned earlier, I wanted to play through Dino Crisis. So that's one thing I may do. So that's really weird that you brought that up. Like I'm fucking pumped right now.
it's so cool. I think that was the first like horror game I ever played, or I guess it's horror. It's my
Survival
refresher
horror, yeah,
Yeah,
something
it's like
that.
Resident Evil without the zombies.
With dinosaurs instead.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
really hope they remake that. They
I've
should.
had the game since
People,
it came out, but I haven't finished it yet.
yeah. I still need to like go back as well and revisit Silent Hill, and Silent Hill 2 and 3. Those are games I really, really like, but I've actually not played much of at all. And even the music for those games as well, like Jesus Christ, like so like iconic, so like just chilling as well, like the first one.
Yeah, 1 and 2 are
Each,
amazing.
yeah, like like I just have like there's a playlist on YouTube called Silent Chill, and it's just like it's like the best thing ever. It's like you just put on in the background whilst you're doing whatever and just like vibe out to some Silent Chill, and it's just all the ambient stuff for some of the best stuff from the games.
This is really
Um,
crazy because this is bringing me into a question that I was going to kind of go into later, but like last night because it was Halloween. I have on vinyl the soundtrack for PT, the Silent Hill that wasn't
oh,
released. The one that
there was a
was,
vinyl for that?
yeah, it was only a demo on the
Yeah, I know.
PS3.
I've still got the demo, but like there was a vinyl for PT.
So there was a bootleg vinyl for that, and
Okay,
I've got
bootleg.
that. So I was listening to that last night, and you were mentioning this, which was going to bring me into like, hey, how do you feel about physical releases, specifically vinyl, because both Eric and I are huge vinyl fans. And
Yeah.
I have to say, like, you as an artist, I think in, if you say quote unquote synthwave, you might have one of, as an artist, as a total amount, some of the most releases on vinyl than any other artist. The only other artist I can think of that might have more releases than you on vinyl might be Perturbator.
Wow. I mean, like it was something that I'd never paid attention to until like New Retrowave were doing them. Like I didn't think it was like a valued kind of. I mean, the word. I mean, well, like especially nowadays, I wasn't sure if it was like a like for that kind of like for indie artists. Like I wasn't sure if it was something that would sell. But no, it really does sell, and it's like people love it, and like it sells more than CDs. Sorry, like were you asking me like what I thought about just having a lot of vinyls in general, or?
Yeah, like, are you about physical releases or not? Because I have to say, my copy of X is probably one of my most like treasured vinyl releases.
Yeah, I do like to get involved in like the merch side of things and have that. I'm all for it for sure. I think like for 2020 AD, there was no plans for doing vinyls for it, but Playmaker are really awesome, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. So that was cool because it was only 5 tracks. But even like artists like Power Glove did a 5 track one, so like vinyl release that was glow in the dark as well. Like the vinyl was glow in the dark.
Yeah.
And
It's
like people love that stuff. So I mean, I
Throwback.
bought it. So it's like, yeah, I'm all for like doing more vinyls and stuff. Although I would like to do my own vinyls, like be in charge of that whole process and like do all the management for that. Because it's something I've not really done. I've always left it to other companies or like partners to do. And sometimes it's worked out really well, and sometimes it hasn't worked out very well. So yeah, I think maybe taking charge of the vinyl side of things at least would be cool. And I'd like to do maybe some yeah, like t-shirt designs or caps, uh, hoodies and stuff. But yeah, no, vinyls are definitely a priority when possible.
Give me all the
Um,
merch, all of it.
All of it.
all the stuff. You know what? There was actually plans for a Blood. I think it was for Blood City. It was like a what do you call it? A PVC of the character. So like a little statue, but like really high quality to go along with like a bundle deal or something. But that never happened. But I would like to do something like that for like Akuma or something. That'd be cool.
That would be fucking
Um,
awesome.
Yes.
like a like a collector's edition item. You know, because I noticed like some artists have been doing like figurines, action figures. I think Starcadian had one actually.
I think also maybe Street Cleaner, maybe.
You know, I could really see you and Tokyo Rose having like an action figure set that would probably sell like gangbusters. Like you
Dude.
guys would fucking kill it. Like you guys and like the horned girl for Akuma.
Done. It's
Yeah.
over.
Well, she's like the mascot for that brand, so like
Like it would be
I mean,
over. That shit would sell. I would buy
yeah,
it.
like if we ever do like an Akuma Master Bundle thing or something, that'd be cool to have that part as part of a deal. Or if we do like a third one, we do like a trilogy or something.
Is
There was
there
also other like cool plans to go like forward with the Akuma like kind of brand, but I probably won't say. But like there is an idea to like maybe have a trilogy, but then have something that comes out of the left field and then is like a continuation of the brand, but like an independent version of it. So it's like a fourth wall break or something. You know, it's a fourth wall break, but I won't go into it anymore anyway.
Yeah,
I'll let
be
you.
careful what you
Okay.
say. Just be prepared that you will have to answer for whatever you say on the show.
People
So-
will ask you questions.
yeah, and so go as far as you're
Sure.
willing to.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, has there been talk about doing more represses of Akuma or anything else with your catalog? Because the struggle with vinyl is that if you don't buy it, you're going to miss out because the average press is like 150 to 300, and that's it.
Hmm. Well, yeah,
And-
there's an idea. There's a plan to do a winter version of Akuma 1 uh, for this December. We're just waiting on the artwork for it. So it'll be a brand new gatefold and cover, um, heavyweight vinyl for sure.
Son of a bitch. Different artwork and now I gotta buy it again.
yeah,
It's really nice artwork. It's a brand new designer. She's called Ninja Joe. You might have seen her stuff on Instagram, but like the vibe we're going for this one, it's kind of like it's black and white. It's kind of like because there was a teaser for Akuma 2 that came out ages ago, and it was like a black and white kind of set piece thing that teased the album for a while. So we can just use that as the template for this one. And I think we're using the gatefold design, like the actual high res that Akuma did. Arkuma is such a coincidence that guy was called Arkuma. Anyway, so he did like the teaser and like he sent us the high res like file of that. So that would be the gatefold, and then so there'll be like I guess two artists on that edition of it in a way. So yeah, look forward to that. It's just a matter of time, really waiting for the artists to finish up on their end. So when that's done, there'll be an announcement whenever they want, I guess.
This will be like the
so yeah.
first drop. Like this is the first news of that. Then that'll happen.
yeah. I feel
Yeah, I want
blessed.
to do I want to do an X repress. I was always talking about doing an X 2020, like but like have a brand new artwork, like a final kind of artwork. And obviously I don't know if anyone's noticed. I think I've announced it or talk about it, but it's like X is now 20 tracks. It's no longer 16 or something or what it was last time. So I've added more to it. Just it'll be like this kind of huge kind of homage to all my early work. That's what
I'm
X is. X
I'm
is a collection of
definitely
all
ready
the
for that.
older stuff. Yeah, yeah. So it'll be, and I'd like to take charge of the vinyls for that, for sure. And then like that's the guy, that's Jared from Chrome and Lightning.
Yeah.
So he's done work for Power Glove and like loads of people. He's
Yep.
really, really cool. Really nice guy. So he'll be doing. He's been working on it for a while. He's very busy with like Netflix and stuff, and like Cobra Kai, I think, was one thing he just
Yeah.
did recently.
He's actually done work
Um,
for me. Actually, I hired him for something that I'm not willing to reveal yet. But
yeah,
yeah, very easy to
he's
work
dope.
with. Yeah.
So still waiting on the art for that, but I have faith that'll be really, really cool. Like I've sent him like, so like the idea for the new look was like I sent him like a mood board of different things. One of them was like a space odyssey with like the monolith, but it's like the X is like the monolith or something like that. Just something
Hmm.
really kind of retro, like almost 70s, or like there was even like Japanese Daft Punk promo stuff that was just like looked so smart. So there was just all these really nice retro vintage kind of vibes that we were going for. Like there was one of the descriptions was like, and the notes for him was like a dormant kind of thing, like an alien dormant craft or something, just kind of like on a Martian soil, kind of just looking really cool, like really iconic. Because I think that was the thing about the X covers, is was like, it didn't know what I wanted to be, because like the first design looked like a couple lines of cocaine, and Ariel was always like, that looks like cocaine. And it always kind of like bugged me, and I was like, okay. And then I like Micah Sozo, like she's a really talented artist, and she did like on the spot like vinyl version of the X, or like her interpretation of it, because I was doing t-shirts, and she was like, oh, okay, I'll do like a model with a t-shirt, and like that'll be the cover, and then like she did that like in like an hour. So now I'm like, okay, I have an idea of what X should really be, like in perpetuity for the next time it gets repressed, and then it'll be like the sort of final kind of swan song from my old stuff with the new edition of X. It's already out there, but the visuals need to be there.
So is there like thought of like uh, taking care of like who masters it for vinyl? So there's we won't necessarily get into who does well for mastering. You have to master vinyl a very specific way, or master the tracks for them to sound appropriate. Otherwise, it could be bad. Um, is that another aspect of like you mean by like take control is like even down to the mastering specifically for vinyl?
Yeah, I did that for Bloodstone. It was very. I didn't do it though. Like it was actually the first full length release that I mastered, because before that I didn't actually. It was always someone else on board doing the mastering, because I always thought that mastering was like some sort of dark art that needed like thousands of years to get to master. So like it was just something that was really kind of out of the way for me. Like in my mind, I just thought that was something that took so much, like you had to go to university or something to study it, and but no, I managed to figure out how to do it, and it's been pretty good. It's like Jurgen, who works at Playmaker, he um like I said to him, I was like, well, do you want some other guy to do the mastering, because like I've got all the pre-masters there. But he's like no, this sounds great on wax already with the previews, so all good. But before that, Tone Box does a lot of mastering. He did the mastering for some of Akuma 2 actually.
Yeah.
And then there was another guy on board that I worked with for a while called Nick, who worked on a lot of my older stuff like Hero and Simulations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, I think I didn't really like relying on other people to master stuff though. I think I'd like to do most of the aspects myself, maybe apart from the artwork from time to time.
Right.
Um, but and then vocals as well, I guess. I've not really dabbled in vocals yet, but um, yeah, like those two things I've kind of left for other people, artwork and vocals. But like the mastering stuff, now that I'm kind of on top of that to a degree, I'm like, okay, like what's next. And you know, I mean, I've been doing a lot of digital mastering though, so I'd like to maybe learn how to do the vintage stuff.
Right. Right.
But I've been quite reluctant to because I'm like, how much gear is this like going to take, you know, to do it? Because I mean, there's always kind of you get a deeper quality with like vintage mastering for sure. Like you'll hear the difference because like even though the lines are getting blurred every day because like technology is advancing so much, but like there's this like distinct kind of you'll notice the difference for sure if you compare digital mastering to the 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 vintage stuff, the
Right.
mechanical mastering, because like you know Power Glove they do all mechanical for sure, and you can kind of hear the weight, the depth to it, because digital might lack that. Although there is a lot of plugins you can use to replicate that, and it can get really close to the bone. So like as I said, the lines are quite blurred now, especially, but for now you will hear a difference between like digital and uh, traditional mastering for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's really interesting that it's not interesting. It's just it's great that you're learning more, you're challenging yourself, you're refining more about you're taking more control over what your art should be and how you want it presented.
I
And
think most artists should kind of have like that aim because I think, especially with a lot of pop artists and stuff, they leave up to a lot of other variables. Like they have like a whole team behind them to do everything, like from the mastering to sometimes the songwriting to like, you know, lots of different variables. And I think if you're able to at least do, you know, like the mastering and the creation of the music yourself, then you're kind of good to go. I mean, if you can do the artwork as well, like that's insane. Like, you know, like Grimes or Andrew.
right,
Like, you
Occam's
know,
Laser does his own stuff too.
yeah, well, like, I mean, all the power to him for sure. Like, I mean, if you can do like the artwork, the mastering, and like the production all by yourself, then I think you're like a one man powerhouse, you know? So, like, you kind of, the world is your oyster, really.
That's awesome. Kyle, what do you have for Alex while we got him on here?
I love you.
Love you too.
Oh, you made his night.
Thank you. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah. I don't want to take up more of your time. I know it's getting really late for you. I mean, shit, it's getting late for us, and we're 7 hours, 6, 7 hours difference from you. Um, I don't have anything else for Alex, for you, sir. I really appreciate you coming on. It's a lot of good stuff. I think people are going to be really happy. Do you have anything else other than pimp your shit? I don't think you really need to pimp your shit. People know your shit's coming out.
2020 AD.
Yeah, that's out on Friday the 13th, if you're superstitious. Um, Good luck, I guess. I mean, no, I'm gonna be taking a bit of a break, I guess, just to chill and like I will be putting out things as I said, like on Twitter on my rant, but like yeah, things will take time, I guess, to put out. Yeah, like that. I
So
think maybe yeah,
be
that's
patient. Be patient. Good things come
yeah,
in time.
patience. Yeah, things come. I mean, like I'd like to come back with a bang and like some new things to show off and just kind of have like really have something that's really impressive, or just yeah, something really wicked, like really really cool to come back and be like, hey, this is something I've worked on and hope you enjoy it. Here's the next phase or whatever.
I
Yeah, for
think
sure.
people are going to be excited. And obviously you have things to tide people over because it seems like you're both looking forward and also taking control of your other stuff and going to continue to release and kind of tweak things and so it's not like you're not going to be around but you're going to new music might take a while, but you got other ways that you're going to be doing stuff too.
Yeah, I'll try not to hype anything. I probably won't. I'll probably avoid hyping things, because I think people are like, just give me the stuff.
Right. That's the
Like,
problem.
like I think that's like where we all feel, right now with Cyberpunk, so.
I'll hype it for you. That's fine. I'll take control of that part.
All right.
I'm sure other people will too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the hype part is taken care of. Well, I appreciate you coming on, Alex. It's been a pleasure. Until next time, this is Eric.
This is Kyle.
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome to paradise, okay.